Three, from our proceedings over the past 2 days, there is a common understanding that society at large should care when it comes to issues of gender-based violence. Our view is that this is not an issue only for women, but requires the collective thoughts and activism of everyone in society. In this regard, through UN Women, as you know, we have the He for She campaign, which is a partnership with the Catholic Bishops' Conference that focuses on the training of men to take zero tolerance stance to gender-based violence. This is in acknowledgement of the fact that we would see so much difference if men in all facets of society took responsibility. This is not relegating the struggle against gender-based violence to the mercy of men, but it is a realization that this is a societal challenge. It is a societal crisis that requires all of us, without any exception, to act together. Without boring the audience, I would also like to highlight that there are many initiatives and programs that the UN undertakes in this fight. Well, you know, I have to earn my living, right? I would also like to highlight that there are many initiatives and programs that the UN undertakes in this fight. To mention just a few, the Secretary General's initiative of the Unite Advocacy Campaign to end violence against women, the Commit Initiative, the Spotlight Initiative, which is actually in collaborative effort with the European Union, and many others, all focusing on ending domestic and family violence, sexual and gender-based violence, harmful practices, femicide, and trafficking. We need a coordinated approach. We need to work with you, hand in hand. Number 4, from our discussions and the Commission's report, we can clearly observe that many of the actions of men are driven by embedded behaviors and attitudes towards women. To this end, we agree that we start prioritizing the education and behavioral molding of the young boy and girl child, and consciously negate the patriarchal consciousness that currently shapes their thinking. Special attention should be given to young boys. And we as parents also have responsibility to this effect. Number 5, the key components to effective implementation are transformative leadership at all levels, capacity, attitude, and cooperation. I commend the President for committing resources and capacity to the Tutuzela centers and urging those who have had negative experiences of the justice system to speak out so that government can improve its performance. And I agree we need to really look into that and reinforce and build the capacity of the centers. I urge government to ensure national gender mechanisms and their focal points be well-trained and resourced, and that gender-sensitive budgeting, planning, monitoring, and evaluation be mainstreamed throughout departments. Number 5, and this is critical, and this is my submission to you. We suggest that civil service performance contracting be effectively implemented. This is so important because plans, our action plan that we have, should be the responsibility of the various entities. And these entities should be held responsible. And that responsibility could only be effected if there is a performance contracting. At the end of the year, we gauge the performance of civil servants vis-a-vis the results that we have stipulated. So it's something that I would really like to submit to you. Number 6, South Africa is one of the member states, as you know, that signed to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, which clearly outlines the commitments towards eradicating all forms of violence against women. The country's own National Development Plan highlights this commitment as one of the central pillars of the country's development objectives. Our common understanding today is that we address the challenge within the context of the powerful realization of the indivisibility of our development challenges. Gender violence can and should not be understood outside of its interconnections and linkages with other social problems. I am glad that the Commission report underscores the need for holistic view on the development of women in society. Number 6, we welcome the President's commitment to establish a gender-based violence coordinating framework and commensurate structure to oversee, guide, resource, and monitor the implementation of the National Program of Action on Violence Against Women and Children. We salute the oversight role of Parliament to monitor the implementation of the Program of Action. The targets set out in the National Development Plan and the National Plan of Action on Violence Against Women and Children are a responsibility for all government departments, civil society, and other duty bearers. And I commit the UN, and we pledge that our UN collective support, this is the UN collective support, will be effected within this common framework and not outside it. Number 7, my dear sisters, in order for government to be held accountable, South Africa needs to regularly undertake research that shows the true prevalence of GBV and takes into account the experiences of the many, many silent survivors of gender-based violence. We cannot rely on SABC for data on femicide, sexual offenses, and assaults that depends on the survivor's faith in the justice system. The UN in South Africa undertook a piece of research on bystanderism with gender-based violence. Survivors reported that they did not want to report their violent partners to the police because they knew that 50 rand later, their violent partner would be back in the home and they would be in more danger than ever. Those women will not be included in the statistics we rely on. So we need to establish an intelligence system which will inspect hotspot areas like the brothels, the townships, etc., and report. And this was just, following the suggestion of one of our survivors, Griselda. Griselda, you're right. Eight, and the last one. As the Commission's report highlighted, individuals in government need to lead by example and be held accountable. There is need for a code of conduct for every service provider so that implementation is carried out without patriarchal or hierarchical systems preventing its enforcement. I give you an example. We are not immune in the UN. We share the same problem. But in the UN, the Secretary General committed in May to eradicate sexual abuse, harassment, and abuse of power in the workplace following the Me Too campaign. Since then, whistleblower policy has been put in place, and UN staff is being monitored and investigated with a wide reporting mechanism. This is proving to be very effective. We call upon the government to enforce the code of conduct and whistleblower policy with immediate effect for all civil servants, particularly frontline health workers, police, the magistrates, to lead by example and to set standards to the corporate world and civil society to follow. So a safe workspace for every employee is guaranteed. My sisters, behavior change starts with you and me and everyone in this country to ensure everyone is free from fear. I am going to appeal to my daughters, our leaders, our future leaders, at this point in time. I was here sitting, and it's a mother that is talking. I feel your anger. I was crying with you because I am a mother of 4 daughters. Whatever has been said is not something remote to me. It's so close to me. It's in my heart. And I feel you. But I beg you, let the anger not talk. Let the anger be not the subject. Let the subject, the true subject, be the subject. And I'm saying this as a true mother committed to you, committed to be with you, and not as an outsider. To conclude, I would like to commit the entire United Nations development system to support all efforts aimed at responding at this social challenge. We realize that this is not an issue of a single agency, but the spotlight and expression of our entire UN system, comprising of 17 agencies present here in South Africa in support of your country. Simply because we understand the multi-sectoral nature of the problem. All our human intellectual resources are at the disposal of the people of South Africa. Our approach to this issue is that at the core of our response must be a concerted effort to change behaviors, and behaviors are changed one person at a time, one household at a time, one community at a time. This means that we must all work very closely with civil society, because it is civil society that can help us reach the millions we need to reach. Because the rising civil society movement of South Africa was courageous to end impunity for sexual abuse, to end impunity, sexual abuse, to end impunity in fighting against sexual abuse. We have seen that with awareness, and determination, with your awareness and determination, and your advocacy, actually. Your advocacy leading us to be aware, and that awareness leading us to be determined for change, and informing us, leading us, and telling us that with unity of purpose comes the strength to accomplish all the big hurdles and challenges of GDP. I think we salute you for leading us into coming to this conclusion, in making us follow you, in making us understand the deep, deep repercussions of this ill, and making us and forcing us to follow you. We thank you very much. And we are with you, and we work with the civil society organizations when it comes to gender-based violence. I think these past 2 days have shown us that the time for complacency has passed and belongs to another era. Right? Yeah. I truly agree that the time for complacency has passed and belongs to another era. The silence on violence against women and children and the impunity with which this happens has been broken. Now is the time for much stronger action, like all the speakers insisted yesterday. The Speaker of the Parliament said so, the President himself said so, the Minister said so, and all of you said so. If I must leave you with one key message, our determination, our resolve of these last 2 days need to be translated into action. Action and implementation. And these could only happen with an effective leadership. And we demand this leadership at all levels. Because we know we are going forward. The motto is go forward, never backwards. The struggle continues until no one is left behind. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we keep time, please? I'm now going to call the representative of UNICEF to come and address us. He's not here? Okay. And EU is not here also? Okay. As I indicated earlier on, that the team is busy finalizing. And I think for us, we need to continue saying we are fighting patriarchy. Our common enemy is patriarchy. And if we have that continuously saying our common enemy is patriarchy, because patriarchy has perfected the strategy of making women to fight each other. Patriarchy has perfected the strategy of keeping us busy while they are raping, they are killing, they are maiming, they are harassing women. And if we lose that sight, we will come back again here 20 years to come. Because at the moment we are a group, we are going to go back to our different areas. And they are waiting. They have already marked so and so that when it seems you are active. They keep you in their pocket. They are doing it every day in politics. They'll continue doing it also in GBV. So we should never allow patriarchy to divide us as women and continue fighting the wars that don't belong to us. Our war is eradicating gender-based violence, period. Yesterday we brought survivors here. We didn't bring them as a show. We brought them because they are carrying the lives of 50-something million women. Yesterday we cried. We cried because their stories are our stories. However, their stories are not going to end up here. We are pleading to the president to pardon Martha and all other women. And all other women, yes. Okay, can we sit down? Remember, Martha is not the only one in prison. So we are pleading to the president to use his power, presidential pardon, to pardon Martha and all other women who killed. We are asking the Minister of Police to ensure that Avela's brother and those boys who killed the mother are arrested. Avela told us her story. She didn't tell us that the family knew about the killing because the brother confessed. But he's still roaming the streets. So we are pleading that Avela's brother and all those boys who killed the mother and the baby and the uncle are arrested. We are saying to Minister Masuta that Sarah's boyfriend be denied parole. We did not bring them here to become a show. We are requesting all other Avelas and the Marthas and the Sarahs to continue sending their stories. Because we are told, actually we have seen it happening. Men who kill their spouses go on bail and that's it. They never go back to prison. So for families who want closure, the killers must go back to prison. We're saying to Baruti, your time is up. We cannot continue using churches as dens of sexual violence and abuse. In our partnership with the churches and traditional leadership, our partnership should not be a partnership where you continue abusing us as women. As a country, we cannot continue having these plaza shops as churches. Can we regulate the churches? Yesterday, we cried. And our cries stops today. We demand action today. We want to see reports tomorrow that says Avela's brother and all other men out there are in prison, not at holiday resort. because our prisons are not a deterrent. Every day we see pictures of people who abused or killed their spouses sitting in prison watching TV. Where is a deterrent there? We cannot continue making victims continue to suffer while perpetrators are eating 3-course meals in a country with high unemployment, high poverty. This must stop and must stop now. We are asking Minister Masuta that we read with disgust a request by correctional services that says there should be fund for those who get out of prison. That is our tax money. It should continue looking after the survivors and their children who don't have any work as we speak. Yesterday we cried. The nation cried. And it stops today. Can we break for lunch now?
Hello, studio. Can you hear me? I'm trying to send Shakira the name of my guest. Here on WhatsApp. Yes. No, I'm not getting studio. Oh, yes, I can hear you now. Yes. Yeah, awesome.